If this video is helpful to you, please consider subscribing to the channel, like the video and comment your feedback. So first of all, I am going to create a new React.js project with the TypeScript. So for that, in the terminal, I am going to use the command npx create React app, and the name of the app I am going to give is type Redux project. Then hyphen template, then TypeScript after space. Okay, so this is the command that I'm going to use to create a new React.js project with TypeScript. Okay, it will take a few seconds. We have to wait for that. Okay, so we cannot use this name for that. So I'm going to run it one more time. That is npx create React app. I'm going to give the name as type Redux itself. Then hyphen template TypeScript. Okay, so it will take a few seconds, so we have to wait for that. Okay, so our new React.js project with the TypeScript have been created. So first of all, I am going to run the project. Okay, so here is the React.js TypeScript project. So next I am going to do is to remove all the boilerplate codes or unwanted files like logos and app.test.tsx. Then I am going to change this app.tsx, and in index.tsx I am going to remove this one. Okay, so here you can see the project. So next I am going to open the Redux toolkit document. So here you can see there is a quick start. So I am going to click on quick start. So when I move downward, you can see, so I need to copy this command for installing the Redux.js toolkit and React Redux. So I have copied this command, and to run this command in the new terminal, as like this way. Okay, so now in the package.json we can see that the Redux.js toolkit and the React Redux have been installed. So next, when I moves downwards, you can see that there is an option for TypeScript and JavaScript. So I have selected the TypeScript option. Then here you can see that we have to create a new file, that is store.js. So I am going to create a new file inside this Redux folder, that is store.tsx. So in this file, we have to do is to copy this code. I'm going to copy this code and to paste it in this store.tsx. Then after that, I am going to remove these commands. Okay, so here you can see that the configure store is imported from the Redux.js toolkit, and a new store variable is defined and configure store is assigned to it. Then inside this configure store, we have given a reducer empty object reducer. Okay, and also we can see that there are two things, that is app dispatch and route state. Okay, just wait, we can see what these two things are. The other up to here it is as usual as that of using with the JavaScript. Okay, so next when we move to the documents downwards, you can see that we have to import the store and provider in this index.js. So in the index.csx. So in this index.tsx, I am going to import the store and provider, and the store I need to import from this Redux store. Okay, and I need to wrap the app component using this provider. Okay, then I have to pass the store as a prop into this app component. Sorry, into this provider. Okay, so I have imported the store and provider in this index.tsx, and I have wrapped the app component by using provider, and I have passed the store as a props into this provider. Okay, so when we move downwards in the documents, we can see that next we have to do is to create a new file. That is, here it is counter slice. As we are today, we are going to fetch a file, fetch details of some users. That is, we are using JSON, a fake API. So for that, I am going to create the file name as, or the I'm giving the file name as, or user slice dot tsx. Okay, and in this user slice dot tsx, I am going to paste this code. Okay, first of all, I am going to remove these commands. Okay, so here you can see that first of all we have imported the create slice from Redux JS toolkit, which is as usual as same as that of doing in the JavaScript. So beyond that, in this code, we can see that there is an interface here, and that interface is defined here, and that interface is assigned to the initial state. Okay, this we cannot see in the JavaScript. So this is a part of TypeScript. So first of all, I'm going to do is to change the name of the slice and the state. That's like this way. And also I am going to remove this increment decrement and increment by my amount, that is for counter. And also next I am going to do is to remove this exporting of this increment decrement. We don't want that. Okay, so here when I remove the reducers, you can see we will get an error. So in the TypeScript, when we are doing the API call in the Redux.js toolkit, Redux toolkit, we need the empty reducers. We need to put the reducers like this way. Then after that we have to give the extra reducers and as a function. And inside this extra reducers, we have to use the function which we have done the in which we have done the fetching of data. So next we have to do is to define a function that is get users, and into this get users I'm going to pass the create async thunk. Okay, so create async thunk is imported from the Redux.js toolkit. Here you can see that. So the Redux.js is, or Redux toolkit is synchronously work functioning. So for making it as asynchronous, because we are using or we are fetching data or we are calling an API, so we need it as asynchronous. So for that we are using this create async thunk. Okay, then we have assigned that create async thing into get users. So inside this create async thing, first of all, we need to do is to pass this name of the use state, or we have to pass the state as like this way. Then next day we have to pass the function as the argument to it. Okay, inside this function we have to call the use the fetch, and inside this fetch we have to pass the URL. That means I am using this JSON placeholder fake API in which we have a user, the details of the 10 users. So this is the URL. Then I'm going to copy this URL and to paste inside the fetch. Then next I am going to do is to we will have a response, and I am converting that response into JSON file like this way. Then I am going to return that. Okay, so we have defined a function that is get users, and we assigned the create async time into it. So then next we are going to use this get users in this extra reducers. So we know that in get users will have three cases. That means first is pending case, second is fulfilled, and the third is the rejected case. So there are three cases. So for showing the three cases, or for using that three cases, we need to use the builder API. So in the Redux JS toolkit for API call, we are using builder. Then by using builder, we can create three cases or use three cases by using builder dot add case. So in this each add case, we can add the cases of this function. So get users dot first case is pending case. We can add pending case and comma. The next is a function like this way. So inside this function, we have to pass the state as the argument. Then the next we have to do is to change the state of. For state management, we have to do is that we can see that here it is value. Now I'm going to change it to data with an empty array. Then next I'm going to add is the loading is to false. Then next I'm going to add the error. Then error is to empty array. Sorry, empty string. So here we can see an error such that the data never, that means never loading boolean error is not assignable. Okay, for because we have to change this to data with empty array or null. Okay, then next I'm giving the type of loading. So the type of loading is boolean, and next I'm giving the type of the error, that is the type of error may be string or it may be null. Okay, so that's finished. So we have initialized, or we have defined the initial sys that with the data loading and error. So now we can do the state management, that is state dot loading. First of all, in the pending case, we have to give the state dot loading to true. Then next is the case of, that means fulfilled case. In fulfilled case, like a get users dot fulfilled, in that we want to do is such that we have to pass the state and action as the argument to this uh, function. And the next we have to do is state dot loading is equal to false. The next state dot error is equal to null. The next state dot data is equal to action dot payload. Okay, next the third case, that means the rejected case, that means get users dot rejected and comma, we have to pass the function. Inside this function we have to give the state dot comma action, state comma action, and we have to do state management as like that of this fulfilled section, in which this error will be action dot payload, and this data state.data will be empty and array. Okay, so here you can see that we have an error. That means we have to give the type of this action. So for that we have imported the payload action from Redux.js toolkit. So we have to use that payload action to represent the type of this action like this way. Okay, so inside this payload action we have to, I'm going to give the type as any. Okay, so now it is the user slice is completed. So now what we have to do is to when we can see, you can see in the uh, Redux.js toolkit, when we move downwards we can see that we have to import the counter or use the counter reducer in the store.tsx file. For that I am going into the store.tsx file and I am going to import this user reducer into this store.tsx file from, we know that we have to import that from user slice. Okay, so I have imported the user reducer from the user slice and I am going to use it or assign it to the user reducer like this way. Okay, so next we have to do is to move to the TypeScript quick start section that below the quick start. So I am going to click that. Now you can see that after doing such things, after the completing the store, we need to create a new file that is hooks.tsx along with the store and user slice.tsx. So I'm going to create a new file like that is hooks.tsx like this way, and I'm going to paste these codes into it. So here, first of all, I'm going to remove these commands. Okay, now you can, okay, now you can see that we have imported the use dispatch, use selector, typed use selector hook, use root state app dispatch into this hooks.tsx. And the next thing that we have done is we have converted this use dispatch into use app dispatch and use selector into use app selector. Okay, that means we have assigned it to these things by giving the type. So in the app component, the next thing that we have to do is in the app component. Okay, in the app component, we have to use this use app dispatch and use app selector. Okay, so next I'm going to the app component. Here I am going to do is to import this use app dispatch and use app selector. The next I am going to import the function. That means the function is get users. So I'm going to import get users from the user slice. So for importing that get users from user slice, we have to export the get users. So I am going to export the get users like this way. Now we can import the get users function here. Yes. So after that, after importing, first thing that we have to do is to define a dispatch variable and to assign the use app dispatch as like this way. Then we have to call the function get users by using this dispatch. So for that, in the use effect hook, I'm going to, okay, in the use effect hook I am going to use this, or I am going to use this or call this function get users by using dispatch. Okay, I have called this get users function. Next we have to do is to use the use app selector. That means first we have defined the name of the state here, then we have to use the use app selector, and inside this use app selector I'm going to use the state as like this way to get the data, that is state dot the name of the state then the data. Okay, so now when I logged, you can see that in the console So when I take the console, you can see that yes, we will get the data as like this way. So I am going to show you in the browser screen itself. So for that, I'm going to use this user dot map. Okay, then h3, h2, and h4 like this way. Then I am going to take each element as user data, and I am going to use that user data inside this. So we can see that we have a email, ID, a name, a phone, etc. So I am going to use this user data dot email, and next I am going to use uh, user data dot ID. Then next I am going to use user data dot phone. Okay, so here you can see an error is there. So I'm going to give the type as any. So now you can see that the error is not there. So now in the screen you can see that we have showed the email, ID, and number. So this is completed. So this is how we could call an API or fetch data in the Redux JS toolkit with the TypeScript. So I think it is very clear. That means first of all we have created a Redux folder. Then there is an hooks. There is a store.txt file. Then user slice.txt file. In this store.txt file, we can see that we have used a empty reducer first an object. Then we can see that here is root state and app dispatch, which is different from the JavaScript. Okay, this is exclusively for the TypeScript. Then next we have created the user slicer. Inside this user slicer, we have exported an interface for this initial state, and also we have used the payload action for the type of this action, and I have given any to it. Okay, next we have defined the function, and by using the a builder.add case we have managed the state. Then next we have imported the user reducer in the store, and we have used that. Okay, so the next thing that is exclusively for the TypeScript is to create the hooks.tsx as like this way. Here we have imported the use dispatch and use selector, and we have assigned the type to this use dispatcher and use dispatch and use selector, and we have assigned it to use app dispatch and use app selector, and we exported that. So in the app.tss we have to import this use app selector and use app dispatch, and the function like this way. Then we have showed this data, or we have listed this data like this way. So I think it is very clear. So if this video is helpful to you, please consider subscribing to our channel, like the video, and comment your feedback. Thank you.